Hello, welcome to Shamanism, Metaphysics, and Grace. I'm Lauren Hubele, and today I'm interviewing Jyoti Wind on the topic of trust. Jyoti, welcome.
Thank you, Lauren. Glad to be here.
Thank you.
So, I would like to call in our directions and our grandmothers and grandfathers. Grandmothers and grandfathers, ancestors of the East, we call to you. We ask you to come and hold this space for us this morning. Grandmothers and grandfathers, ancestors of the South, we call to you. We ask you to come and hold this space for us this morning. Grandmothers and grandfathers, healing spirits and ancestors of the West, we ask you to come and hold this space for us this morning. Grandmothers and grandfathers, wisdom keepers and ancestors of the North, we call to you. We ask you to hold this space for us today. Grandfather Sky, keeper of the starry night, ancestors of air and fire, we ask you to hold this space for us today. Grandmother Earth, in all your beauty and glory, we ask for your mercy and compassion, and that you also hold this space for us today. And to that medicine being inside of us, that wise person, wise woman, wise man, may that presence show up. I have trust that your spirit will find its way, that you know how to listen to divine guidance. You know how to trust that what you need will find you. You are a child of the universe, and it always has your back.
So beautiful, Jyoti. So beautiful. So, Jyoti, what is trust?
That's a huge question in a way. You know, it's trust, I think, is the ability to tune into ourselves and know what our truth is and kind of bank on it. You know, I think as kids, of necessity, we have to trust our parents, our caregivers, and we're not exactly directed to trust ourselves usually. We're reliant on other people for our welfare. And it kind of takes us away from trusting ourselves sometimes. And then there are the woundings of betrayals, things like that that happen in life. And so our trust kind of gets hit a bit, you know, and so we go out into the world, and you know, we trust some things that maybe aren't worthy of our trust, and we forget to cultivate that place inside of ourselves that is, in a sense, the only place we have to trust, that will always steer us in the right direction, that will always draw to us what we really need.
Mm. That's very beautifully put, Jyoti. As you were unfolding that, I was thinking about my years as a practitioner and the interesting thing, particularly around health, that people put their trust in and the things they don't trust. And there isn't always congruency there
Mhm.
in what we trust and what we don't. And we see it very clearly with health, but I'm sure that's true with other topics as well.
Yeah. Um, and I think it always has to come back to you trusting yourself
Mm.
and finding ways to trust yourself, finding ways to almost prove to yourself that your intuitions and what you're getting inside, as you're listening deeper and deeper or more frequently, that this universe, this wisdom nature inside yourself, your guides, your compassionate spirits, it all has your best interests at heart. That's why you're here, to grow and learn. And yes, life slaps us, and it's just the way it is here, at this time. Maybe in a different time it'll be easier to just grow up trusting yourself and have that sense of, I know what I need. I know that I can draw to myself, magnetize to myself what the next learning process is, the next lesson is, for my own growth. But it comes back, I think, to just learning to trust yourself. And you have to bite size it. You have to take it a little bit at a time. Because sometimes in that long time of not trusting yourself, we can't always hear it. We can't always get it in that moment, and so we just have to practice. I remember saying, somebody saying to me a long time ago, meditation and radiation are both accumulative. you know and it's true. And it's true. There's sometimes I sit down, to meditate in the morning, and there's nothing happening. I put in my time. I breathe. I stay quiet. I have the intention of quieting all that stuff inside, um, but nothing happens. I get up and go about my day. And other times my meditations are profound or beautiful, or, I access a feeling, or I have an insight, or, but I'm willing to put in the time. I'm willing to sit with what is until something is shown to me by my guides, my higher self, the universe, whatever you want to call any of that stuff. Um, and I think it's that way with trust. I think that we have to develop a relationship with that trusting capacity within ourselves, because it's been hit at, it's been betrayed. That's life is like that sometimes. And so as we grow and I was going to say, as we grow and trust, as we develop that trust, as we bite size it, as we try it out and see, well, can I trust this new friend that's just come to me, let's say? Um, and over experiences and time and interaction and your relationship, trust has to be built, especially if it's been betrayed, especially if it's by that same person. That trust has to be rebuilt so that you can relax with that person, so that you can open again with that person. And so I think it's a building process, it's a time process, and it's a little bit here and a little bit there to begin to trust yourself, so that you can trust. If you get this feeling, maybe that person isn't for you. Maybe that person is more acting out of fear than openness and love, let's say, and acceptance. And so maybe that's not an intimate friend until they grow more into themselves. Maybe that's an acquaintance. And so you learn to trust yourself as you listen inside, as you open yourself to your own trusting nature. Because, I mean, if you look at little kids, most little kids, unless they've been informed and taught otherwise, most little kids are really open. and really trusting. They walk up to a dog that they're nose to nose with. You know what I mean? And they talk to strangers if they're allowed, and they will share themselves with people. And we look at their innocence and their guilelessness, and it touches us because it touches that part of us that we knew, we remember in that moment of how we were before life kind of hit us over the head with some kinds of experiences, you know?
Yeah, that is profound, Jyoti. And I think we've all had that touching moment observing a young child. So that leads into this thought. It seems to me then that when we arrive as the divine child, we arrive as a trusting being. Would you think
Absolutely.
right? And then we go through this process of unlearning
Yeah.
that trust.
Yeah. Kind of closing it off
Mm, mm,
because it seemed to uh, bring us hurt,
yeah, yeah.
seemed to bring us hurt.
Yeah, when the topic dropped in for me, I was thinking about that so often when I say, and this is from my perspective, I don't trust you, what I really mean is I don't trust myself in this situation.
Yeah. Yeah. It all starts with us. It all comes back to us. Do
Yeah.
we trust ourselves? Do we trust our perceptions? Do we trust that we have our best interests at heart?
Yeah, but when we think it's the other person that needs to do the work, we're missing our own work, right?
Yeah, it's a mirror. It's always a mirror
Hmm.
for us to look deeper within ourselves and ask, just simply ask into ourselves, where do we trust ourselves? Where do we not trust ourselves or our own judgment or discernment?
I would imagine those are questions most people don't ask themselves. What do I trust about myself and what don't I?
Yeah, it's a good inquiry. It's a good question to ask yourself, especially if you're being confronted in the moment in a situation where I don't know if I trust this person. I don't know if I trust this situation, that kind of feeling, and take it back into yourself. And am I trusting that I know what I know? Am I trusting that I'll be okay, even if I'm putting out my trust to another person that maybe I don't know?
Mm.
Can I trust myself, and will I be okay no matter how this situation turns out?
Jyoti, as you're saying that, it brings to mind a statement I've heard you make in astrological readings during certain periods of
Yeah.
asking, do you trust yourself? Do you trust that? What's going on astrologically when those awakenings occur?
Usually it's a Venus aspect, it's a Venus Saturn aspect. Do you trust that what you need will
Mhm.
come?
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it brings you issues of trust so that you can see where you're at.
Oh,
So you
talk a
can
little bit more about that. That's interesting.
So it's so you can gauge, well, am I more trusting now than maybe I have been? Am I still besieged by that same level of, oh, I don't know what this has for me. I get scared, or I'm not sure if I even want to do this or not, because I don't trust that it'll turn out well or that I'll be okay. And if you know from your own experiences that you'll be okay no matter how it turns out, because there's no guarantees, then you can go into it with a certain level of, okay, let's see what this has for me, and
Mhm.
let me
Mhm.
gauge how I'm doing, kind of, without really measuring yourself. But have I worked on this enough so that I trust that I'll be okay. Situation might not be okay, but I'll be okay.
I've never thought about those aspects in that way, that that's really a golden opportunity to reflect on this idea of trust.
Absolutely.
And so
Yes.
what's the aspect again, Jyoti?
It's Venus with Saturn. Usually it's a square or an opposition, like transiting Saturn, squaring or opposing your natal Venus, or even transiting or progressed Venus squaring your natal Saturn or opposing it. Because
Mm,
it's a challenge or it's a frustration, that if things remain the same and you get frustrated enough, you'll do something about it, or it
mhm,
could be a
mhm.
direct challenge. Okay, this opportunity is being offered to you. Do you trust yourself to be able to handle it or make it out the other side intact, even if it's an absolute failure?
Wow, wow,
I mean, there's
interesting.
different levels of trust,
Sure,
that's what I'm
sure.
thinking. There's different levels of trust, um, yeah. And it doesn't mean being foolhardy.
Exactly.
Finding yourself in the middle of a city at 2 in the morning in a dark alleyway. I wouldn't think that's trust. I would think that's more about, challenging, in a way, challenging the universe to keep you safe in a potentially dangerous situation. But yet, maybe for somebody, that is how it shows up.
Yeah. When I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about the fool archetype, right? And
Yes.
setting
Yes.
off on that journey, about to step off.
Yeah, the edge of the cliff. All right, so Lauren, to me, one of the simplest and most profound ways that we innately trust every night when we go to bed, we close our eyes and we trust on some deep level, we trust that we will wake up in the morning, or we won't if it's our time to leave. But yet, what a level of trust. I've always thought that's so profound. What a level of trust we have in ourselves, in the universe, and in just the day to day workings of things that there's a part of us innately that knows not only that we need to sleep to regenerate, to help our brain, especially to let go of what it doesn't need from the day, and that our cells can regenerate, our body can re-energize, and some part of us innately is programmed for that, for sleep, but yet we trust it. We trust it. We lay ourselves down in vulnerable positions sometimes and go to sleep.
Sure. To surrender, to surrender.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is a surrender.
Yeah. Yeah. As you were saying that, and that's so reassuring. So, folks that say, oh, I don't trust anyone or anything, really taking a little time to assess, what do I trust, right?
Yeah.
And making that, a little list and see what comes up feels like a really healthy exercise.
It is a healthy exercise. In the writing groups I've facilitated, sometimes it's kind of a different subject, but I've had people make a list of what they do well.
Mm.
Like I
Huh.
make a great apple pie. I whatever it happens to be for you. I do make a great apple pie and I love it
By the way.
anyway. Um, and so to make a list of maybe 20 things that you do and you enjoy or that you do well and you have developed skill around it. It can be anything from like the apple pie to socializing with people, or being able to really talk to kids and be right there with them, sitting on the floor, and engaging. So they make this list of 20 things and they put it in their purse, their wallet, their back pocket, whatever. And every once in a while, when they feel kind of a little off, their day's a little off, pull out the list and read it.
Well,
So writing down the ways that you trust and where you have skill in trusting situations or people or life situations that come to you, and then every once in a while read it. Remind yourself of the level of trust that you already have built for yourself.
yeah, yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Jyoti, this has been just a delightful conversation. Is there anything else you'd like to add on this topic?
Well, I thought about it. I, I could lead a very simple meditation.
Let's
Okay.
do that.
Okay. So just close your eyes and take a nice deep breath and just release the day and the concerns of the day and having to get this right. This is just an experiment, and an experiment works how it works. So just visualize that you have this part of you inside, this little child part of you that's guileless and loving and trusting, open hearted. This divine child could be an infant, could be a 3-year old. And you have this child part of you that's just full of light and trusting in everything, because why wouldn't it? And you just take this child by the hand or up in arms, depending on its age, and you just bring it forward into your life. You just walk with this precious package, this preciousness in yourself that was born trusting, and you just bring it forward into your life as you're living now, and just put that part in your heart. Just ask that part to make itself at home in your heart. And just feel it infuse the light of that trustingness. Just feel it infuse up to your head and down through your arms and hands and down through the trunk of your body and down to your feet. And just feel that glowing light of trust just fill you. And you can always go back to it because it resides in your heart. And then when you're ready, just come back to your room, to your body, to your awareness. And when you're ready, open your eyes. That's it.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Jyoti. So grateful for you sharing your wisdom so candidly today.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Jyoti, are there any new classes coming up you'd like to share with our audience?
I'm in the middle of a Dragon Codes, downloading the Dragon Codes class, and also one that's called Walking with the Ancestors. And I'm looking at putting together a soul retrieval workshop and also a psychopomp workshop.
Beautiful. So if folks want to learn about those or contact you about those, they would do that through your website.
Yes, www.jyotiwindastrology.com.
Perfect. Thanks, Jyoti.
Thank you, Lauren.